I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm staying with my family in Arkansas for like 5 or 6 weeks. And there is nothing worse than the deep South internet connections and phone calls.
Thank you for doing this. This is fun. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Oh my gosh, yes.
So by first impression, someone might go to your Instagram and might think like, wow, he's this really handsome, in shape influencer with a large social following. But upon further review, people will see that you are an optometrist, you're a gamer, you're a YouTuber, you have a lot of different facets. Just to start, like, what made you want to pursue optometry?
Yeah, I mean, I was in and out of the eye doctor's office a lot as a kid. So I had really bad vision, wore the really thick glasses, was like, the ones that are like mush to your face.
Yeah.
And so being there so much in my town in the South, there's very few admirable to me professions as a kid, where I'm from, the optometrists and the doctors of the town were like, very important people in the town. And so me being there so much, seeing this person that played such a cool role in our town and then made huge impacts in my life by helping me be able to see clearly. I mean, I remember the first time I put my glasses on and went outside and freaked out, so that kind of made me want to do it myself. Yeah, I mean, every step of the way, getting to like participate in helping people see clearly just, reinforces that you're doing something awesome. It's a job where you can help people without having to get too gory. And that's like amazing.
How long have you been doing it? How long have you been licensed?
Yeah. I started practicing in 2016, so I've been a doctor for almost 5 years now. The process is 8 years, 4 years of undergrad and 4 years of optometry school to get your doctorate. It's a long process, but it's worth it. So cool.
Are you the first doctor in your family?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One of the first to graduate with a college degree at all. So.
You had spoken about in one of your YouTube videos how I think you were in training, maybe in optometry school, where you were shadowing an optometrist, and there was a woman who I think was a teacher of yours, and she didn't want you to come in the exam room because you're gay,
right?
And which is kind of like the ultimate judging a book by its cover, right?
Exactly.
So how did that impact you or change you in any way?
I think about this all the time. And so I go in there and, the lady says, if there's a student there, the doctor walks in and says, I have a student with me that, is interested in learning more about the profession. Do you mind if they sit in the exam and kind of see what it's like? And when she saw me and realized who I was, she was like, no, I don't really feel comfortable with him being in the room, because I don't agree with his lifestyle, is I think the way that she worded it. And honestly, what it made me realize is that, we still have so much work to do as far as the gay community goes in earning people in showing people that it has our sexuality has nothing to do with how we practice and the level of competency that we can show. My board scores were in the top 95%. I can diagnose and treat so many diseases better than I feel like a lot of people can. And my sexual identity, preferences, my shirtless photos on Instagram have nothing to do with my practice. And so doctors are people too. And they they want to live lives too, right? Their sexual identity has nothing to do with how good of a doctor they are. And in fact, even more solidified for me, I feel like patients that relate to me on the level of being gay or whatever, feel that they can be more open with me and share information with me that they wouldn't share with some doctor that they were afraid of was going to judge them for anything they were going to say.
Yeah.
And I think that separation of putting a doctor on some pedestal that they can't be people, they have to be these robots, is so outdated, and we're way past that. And I think that experience with her made me realize more so what that world, that especially that generation, puts doctors into. And I really do think that we're growing past that. And honestly, just don't care what other people think. I want to care for my patients the best that I can, and I know I'm a good clinician, and that's all that should matter.
And it's inspiring, and you're right. I mean, it is. I never thought about the like how much of an asset it could be to people who think that they know you better and can, feel more comfortable.
Or that are HIV positive, which can significantly impact your eyes. There are several conditions from being HIV positive that, as an optometrist, I need to know that, right?
Right.
And so there are bleeding conditions inside of your eye. There are infections that can happen on the inside of your eye due to your decreased immunity. And so I need to know your status, and I need to know these things about you. And so whenever I look at your list and it says that you're disease free, and then they get in there and talk to me and tell me, actually, I feel comfortable with you. Maybe I can disclose this information to you. Then I can know to do more thorough checks to check the health of their eyes to keep them from going blind.
Because you were so, I mean, like you said, it's college, then 4 more years of optometry
Yeah.
school. You were really determined to do it, which is great. And in 2016, like after you achieved like your goal, right? How did your priorities shift? Like, did you think like, okay, like now I have a whole new set of goals that I want to achieve in the optometry world? Or were you kind of like, let me like try and focus on some other things?
Graduation was the best day of my life. I'll say that. I remember it. It was like a blur. And, people say that about their wedding day or whatever, but for me, that day was just perfect. And it was so good. Because you worked so hard to get there. Afterwards, I did just kind of breathe. Getting into the career was so much work. And then you kind of get into it and you realize that there are so many things that you don't even think about. All you're focused about is being the best clinician you can possibly be in school. And then when you finish school, now there's this business aspect and life aspect to it. You have to figure out, how do I want to practice? Where am I going to practice? I have to get my licenses and my malpractice insurance and maintain all this continuing education. And yeah, I kind of just took a breath is what I would say I did. I worked in a practice for a few years out in Colorado, made money, really the goal after getting out of school is to try and pay off your loans and start saving up some money, practice, have a good work-life balance. That's something that's been super important to me. I love to travel, so make that a priority too. And then obviously all along the way, be the best clinician that I can be for my patients, right? So if I am seeing patients, and I started doing these traveling optometrist jobs, traveled around the country, seeing patients all over the country. California was one of the states that I was working in and doing those traveling clinics in. And then a few years, 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to move to California because I was doing so many clinics there, and why not change of pace?
Yeah.
So I moved to California and live in Los Angeles still. And
that's great. I mean, it really blends your training with your passion for traveling and
exactly. And I get to keep all my airline miles, so
even better.
It's so nice. Yeah, when I have weekends or extra time, I have all of the points that I could need to take a trip to Mexico or.
Right. Just kind of switching topics a little bit. But on your YouTube channel, you kind of like had videos that really delve into like really personal topics, which I think is, like dating and relationships, which I think is really great because I think a lot of people are just interested in general kind of stuff and have questions about it. But it takes, like guts to be open about, your own growth. And have you always been like that, or where did that kind of come from?
No, actually, no. I mean, growing up in the South, being gay, there's not many outlets for you to talk about your sexuality or your dating, and there's not really much dating to be had. And so I never really had many of those experiences growing up, a few here and there. And then I got into the world of YouTube in college. I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I watched other people talk about their experiences and share vlogs of their, relationship. And it showed me so much of what I didn't know existed, because I thought, being gay was will and grace. And I was like, I'm going to be doing a lot of cool things. I'm traveling around. I feel like I've had some stories and experiences now. I've seen other people share this on YouTube, and it helped me a lot. Why don't I then create a channel and see if I can talk and help some people out? So originally it started as, I'm going to be traveling around showing the professional side of life as a gay person growing up in the South. And if I can help anyone with that, then badass. And so it really did turn into me just kind of sitting and talking to people as their gay friend, is kind of what I wanted it to be. If you live somewhere like I did and there were no other gay people around, you could go to YouTube and listen to another perspective of something that you could be experiencing. I've had so many people message and send fan letters and whatever, saying, you know, I have never met another gay person before. So getting to hear your story about a straight guy, that it's kind of something similar that happened to me, that like, it just kind of gave me some validation in the way that I feel. So it feels so good to see those things. I love that.
I feel like you have real impact, you know?
You know, I like to work out, and I do definitely feel like my looks have played into a huge portion of my advantage. Like I even remember thinking, you know, like if I want to grow this, that maybe like the gay culture in a nutshell right now, and the way that it is very sexual and very sexualized. And I enjoy that aspect of the gay culture, and I know most of us do. And so I definitely used my social media as far as like my Instagram and photos of myself after working out or whatever, because I knew that it would be a kind of a catch to get in, and then talk about the topics that I want to talk about and push, you know, social issues that I like to push. And that's the way that it ended up working out. I'm not blind. I know that's how it works, but
Right. You know, one of the things that and just speaking to you, but now, but also and meeting you, but also like in your videos, your optimism for life really like comes across, and that's something that I relate to, and I think it's really important now, especially with COVID and everything. And so, what are just some of the ways that you like stay positive?
I mean, it may seem like I stay positive all the time. I do have a very optimistic way of thinking about most things, and that is something that's been very hard for me to kind of develop. You have to push that on yourself.
Yeah, you do.
There's a line between toxic positivity and being optimistic. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like things don't get me down, and when they do, I just sit down and talk to myself about how it's going to get better. And so instead of sitting and mulling over the sad parts and the upset parts for long periods of time, I think, okay, this happened, this is sad, I accept it, and I need to be happy and positive and move on, because that's what makes me feel the best. For me, something that really helps is writing it out, journaling, meditating, sitting with your thoughts, talking it out with friends and family. I do the same things everyone else does, and I think that by trying really hard to think about putting it in a positive aspect, that is something that helps so much. I had a conversation with my sister the other day, and we're driving around our town in the South here, and we both have pretty, you know, we have bad memories of some of the places here because of the way that it is so conservative and closed-minded. Mm-hmm. And she, also being part of the LGBT community, felt excluded and judged here. And she just hates coming back. And, you know, we're driving over a hill, and I see this beautiful landscape. It's rolling green hills with spotted trees and cows and a stream rolling through it. And it's beautiful. It's stunning. And I say, you know, look at how stunning that is, how beautiful it is. And she just gets mad at me. And she's like, I will never say this place is beautiful because I hate this place because of the way that it's treated me. It just kind of hit me that she can't see through the negativity in this place to see the beautiful of it. And when I said that to her, and I said, think about that as something else. Think about that as anywhere else, and you would see that as beautiful. And she was like, yeah, but I just can't because of the people that are here. And I was like, but there are no people there. There are no people sitting on that beautiful ridge. Like, if you can't appreciate the beauty of things that are also bad, are you ever going to live a happy life? And she was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. So, I mean, there's going to be bad everywhere. There's going to be negative everywhere. But if you don't see that pretty ridge, you know, like, you're just going to live a life of being upset and angry at everything. And that's just not a happy way to live.
Exactly. Yeah, we're only here once. You know, you have to just optimize it and make.
So true. And yeah, you get one chance. This is your one life. And if you are literally have been upset and sad and miserable the whole time, or a big chunk of the time, I feel like that you're going to really regret that.
You know, I think that you have an incredible talent, which is why your YouTube is probably so successful, is that you really make people feel seen, like no pun intended with your optometry.
Whoa,
but,
that was so good.
but
You,
you really do come off as like a good, like a friend, you know, and I think
yeah,
that and this isn't really a question, it's just an observation,
yeah.
and I think it's really
Oh, that was sweet. I mean, you come off as a friend. Like you're very easy to talk to. So
thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. Like,
And what's next for you? Like what's
yeah, I moved to California for a little while because I wanted to try it. I wanted to experience the warm weather all year round, and say that I did it. My mentor told me that I had to either live in LA or New York for a little while, and I had spent a lot of time in New York. And now that I've been in LA for a while, I think that I have found out that it may be a little bit too crowded for me. I think I want to move somewhere with a little bit more nature. So I think in the next year, I'm going to try and relocate somewhere. As soon as COVID is over and we can travel again, I want to do that. And I really now my focus is continuing to grow this traveling optometry thing that I've got. I want to buy a house. I think that'd be really cool. I know. So expensive,
in LA?
though.
I know it's crazy. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Oh,
time.
thanks for meeting with me. This was so much easier than when Mark did it. I'm gonna tell him.
I'm gonna come too.
Yeah, tell him, please.
Yeah, it was really great to meet you. And
Yeah, you too, Kyle. Yeah, when I come back to LA, we'll have to.
well, yeah,
Cool.
when you're back in LA, we'll have to meet up for something. And
That. Yeah, anytime. I'll see you later, Kyle.
all right, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.